We have a few more people coming. All right. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. So this is our second info session that we have for our study abroad course. I'm going to ask if you could mute yourself. Here, let me. Okay, thank you. I hope everyone is doing well. This is our second info session, so let's just start with introductions and then we could get started with the presentation. Here we have Dr. Novia Pagone. She is professor of literature and Spanish. She is my co-program director and co-creator of this course. My name is Jelena Radovic-Fanta. I am an anthropologist. I teach in anthropology and sociology here at GSU. And we also have Laura McFadden, who's our representative from World Strides, which is the organization that we are collaborating with to carry out this study abroad trip to Costa Rica. So welcome. This is just to give a little bit of background. This is a newly created course that Novia and I worked on. It's titled Afro-Latino Cultures. Broadly, it's Afro-Latino Cultures of the Americas, but this coming semester, we will focus in on Costa Rica, which is located in Central America. So the general description is that it's an embedded course. It's a global studies course that fulfills a requirement for a global studies minor, but that accepts people from all disciplines. And it has an embedded study abroad component next semester during spring break to Costa Rica. How do I move the slides?
Are you able to control the slides?
No, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. No, I can't control them.
Let me make you the host. Hold on one second.
No worries. Let me close my email.
You should be the host now.
Okay. So
let me reshare. Oh no.
Or should I just pull them up myself?
Go ahead and yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me pull them up.
Would it be a Zoom meeting without some technical difficulties?
Of course. Where do I have the slides? Oh my gosh, so give me 1 second. Okay, I had closed the tab. I'm opening it up right now. Okay, Canva. Computer's not collaborating. Okay, here we go. Okay. Sorry, my computer is very slow.
I can also, I'm happy to just click through if you want, if that's easier.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why it's not.
I'll do it.
Not pulling it up. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
All right. I can't pull it up for some reason.
That's okay. Here it is.
Okay, so thank you. Next. Gracias, Novia. So in this info session, thank you for your patience, for everyone present. We'll be going over the program description, the specific course information, the support from World Strides, and the itinerary, health and safety, scholarships, application process, deadlines, and then we'll open it up for question and answer. So program description. So this is a course. Again, it's a global studies course. The number is GBLS 4400. If you're a graduate student, it will be 6400. And it will take place in Costa Rica during spring break of next semester, spring 2023. So we're very excited to offer this. It's a new destination for GSU faculty-led study abroad. It's the first study abroad trip we have to Central America, the first one to Costa Rica. And as I said earlier, students will enroll in the course that is titled Afro-Latino Cultures of the Americas. The objective of this class is for students to learn about the history and culture of Afro-Latinos, Afro-Latinas, Afro-Latinx in Costa Rica through field visits, lectures from local experts, and hands-on activities. So it's a very hands-on, immersive experience. And the primary goal is to gain intercultural experience and prepare students to become productive leaders and citizens in the global community. And just to provide a little bit of a context, the creation of this course and some scholarships that will be offered are part of a grant that Novia and I have from the Department of Education. And the purpose of it is to expand experiences of global education for our students. So we've been doing a series of speaker series, we've had different events, and this study abroad program is part of it. And we have planned activities that are aimed to expand cultural and historical knowledge of Costa Rica and African heritage. And participants will have the opportunity to meet with local students and have the opportunity to participate in language exchange. You're not required to know Spanish for the study abroad. It might help if you know some, but you're not required to have a level of fluency, right? But you will have the opportunity to practice your Spanish or learn Spanish and talk with students in Costa Rica.
If I may, I just want to add to that. If you're taking the course, this is the main section of it. Will be global studies, but it'll be cross-listed with Spanish, anthropology, and I think history. I don't remember. So if you're in other programs and you want to take it under another number, because that will help with financial aid and for you to be able to take it within your program, that's possible too.
Yes, thank you, Novia. So where in the world is Costa Rica? You will see it at the bottom left. Costa Rica is in Central America. It's bordered on the north by Nicaragua and on the southeast by Panama, and it has access to both the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. So specifics about the class. So this Global Studies class 4400, as Novia pointed out, it's going to be cross-listed with other disciplines. So if you are enrolled in other, you could get credit for it. We will look at the historical, cultural, political, and linguistic experiences of Afro-descendants in Latin America and the Caribbean. Some topics that we will go over: legacies of colonialism in the Americas, and specifically Costa Rica. We will look at race, class, and gender formations, which are very interesting to examine, and they're different as to how the formations take place here in the US. We will look at cultural, artistic, and literary expressions, Black social movements, and immigration. The class will run, so you enroll for the semester, spring semester. We will meet 4 times at GSU, and the rest of the contact hours will take place in Costa Rica. So it will be on Thursdays at the 4:30 time slot. We will meet 3 times before the trip. So on February 16, February 23, and March 12. And one of the meetings, the 4th meeting will be after the trip. So we'll come back, we'll reflect, and we will present and have a conversation on our final projects. And we probably will have other class meetings online that have to do with the technical aspect, preparing for travel, conversations about passports, etc. Right? And then the rest will be in Costa Rica itself. Study abroad trip will be during spring break, March 11 to March 18, 2023. And during the program, students will be immersed, as was described earlier, the history and culture of Costa Rica through visits to local sites, lectures, and hands-on activities. And we will go in detail over the itinerary and the schedule. Can you repeat what class graduates have to take? Yes. So if you see at the top, it's GBLS 6400. Thank you, Novia. So 4400 is if you're an undergrad. If you're a graduate student, you would enroll in 6400 for graduate credit. Good question. If you have questions, feel free to type them into the chat box. All right, so now I will turn it over to Laura.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be working with you on this program. World Strides is an organization that partners with universities to plan really the behind the scenes work that goes into planning the program. So it's hotels, transportation, arranging some of the cultural activities. So that way faculty can really concentrate on the educational portion of the program. So we're with you every step of the way through when you return from your program. We hear from questions both from you and from staff as needed. So we'll go through your itinerary. You're staying at the Hilton Hotel in San Jose, equally talking about some technical issues. I tried to change this picture to the correct one and was about to delete everything, so I stopped. So this is not your hotel. Your hotel is a bit more modern. It's got a great pool. It's a great location. It does have Wi-Fi and breakfast is included with your room. And so you can look that hotel up online to get the accurate picture of it, or we can send one to you. So your program runs from March 11th to the 18th. So we'll do the itinerary in 2-day parts. On Saturday, I'll leave Chicago. We'll pick you up at the airport, transfer you to the hotel, give you some time that afternoon to do some exploring around the hotel. Dinner as a group that night in the hotel. Get you over any jet lag you might have. The next day, we're going to start you out with a San Jose City tour. Well, we'll take you to the major attractions in the city. Also, just to give you an idea of where things are, acclimate yourself where you are in relation to the hotel and things that you want to do while you're there. We'll include the National Museum, National Theater. So there's National Park. There's a lot of things on that program. Have lunch will be included with that. Dinner at the hotel, and you will have a free evening to do a little more exploring. Before you leave, we create an online app that you can use while you're traveling. And that has the schedule, the list of everyday events, but we also put in there health and safety information and some suggestions on restaurants or things you might want to do while you're there. So you and your classmates can get together and do some planning before you go on your program. So Monday and Tuesday, we have a local cultural exchange with local students in the morning. Usually there's 2 things, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We'll have lunch. The afternoon, to get you more immersed into the culture, you'll have a tropical dance class where you'll have the opportunity to learn and to practice. Dinner at the hotel again with your free evening on your own after dinner. We start with the guest lecture on Tuesday, which is the Costa Rican Society History and Culture Museum of Polar Culture. So that starts some of the educational group lectures, group lunch again, dinner at the hotel, and a free evening. So you'll have some time, a little bit of time in the afternoon there also is free time. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday morning, you start with another guest lecture, understanding how African heritage influences culture and language in Costa Rica. You'll visit, and I don't have the great Spanish accent, but the Parque La Libertad. Dinner at the hotel, free evening. That's kind of a theme for each day, dinner at the hotel and a free evening. Then we'll do a day trip on Thursday. We'll go to a coffee plantation, learn about the production of the coffee, learn about the plantation itself, do a tour, and then go to a waterfall park in the afternoon. So there you can get some hiking and some exercise, or just sit and relax by a waterfall. Do a group lunch, dinner at the hotel, and a free evening. Friday, guest lecture, the key challenges and opportunities for Afro-Costa Rican populations, group lunch, and then a visit to the Gold Museum in the afternoon, and then your farewell dinner where you can reflect on your program, talk about your experiences, what you've learned, and talk about the program with your classmates. And then just that quickly, you come home. So Saturday departure, check out of the hotel, we'll get everyone to the airport and get you home to Chicago in the late afternoon, early evening. Health and safety, travel advisories for Costa Rica. It's a level 2 from the Department of State. Almost every country is level 2, 3, or 4. It's very unusual to be a level 1. Level 2 just means exercise caution, everything you would do when you're traveling, be aware of your surroundings. So crime, pickpocketing crime, that kind of a thing. The COVID level is also a level 2, which is excellent. We make sure that you're fully vaccinated before you travel. Sometimes we'll have you take, if you're not feeling well before you travel, it's a great idea to get the test so you don't take it with you. It's not a necessity, and you don't have to take the test again before coming home to the United States. And if there's anything that changes in either of those 2 advisory levels, the school would know immediately, and we would make plans accordingly. Considerations for COVID, it really is at this moment common sense. Regulations are changing every day, but they are loosening up. So that's an excellent sign for travel around the world. You just want to be aware of how you feel. If you're not feeling well, then we can take action on that. If you're sharing a room, we would get you in a separate room. And we can take care of it. We've had it happen on programs. It's never caused a big problem with that. We do have insurance included with the program that would pay for expenses, necessary expenses, if you have to be quarantined in your own room, to pay for meals and things like that. The international health insurance, that again is through your organization, and also your cancel for any reason insurance is also through your organization, so they can give you more information on both of those.
Okay, I think this is me.
Yes.
Thank you, Laura. So included in the program fees are the flight accommodations in the hotel, and those are for double occupancy rooms. So you'd have a roommate unless you chose to pay the additional fee to have your own room. Most of our meals, pretty much almost all of our meals, transportation around the city when we're going on trips and things like that, guides, all the cultural immersions, any of the academic lectures and engagements, and then risk management and insurance. And I will just point you to this note here that we just need to continue to be flexible about the ongoing pandemic. We don't anticipate there being additional expenses, but if something changes with the pandemic, then that is possible. Then you would be notified way far ahead of time, as far ahead of time as possible for that. Yelena, do you want to talk about the scholarships? Or do you want me to?
Absolutely. So we have a few options of scholarships that you can apply to offset the cost of the trip. So one is a global studies scholarship that Novi and I are organizing, right, as part of this grant. Students can earn up to $1,000 scholarship. And to be eligible, you would need to fill out the Global Studies Scholarship application, which is an application, 2 references. One of them has to be a faculty member, and a statement of interest. And if you received, and we could send this, we will send this all out after our meeting today, but you can see that link to the student-wide email that was sent about this info session. There is also a study abroad scholarship offered by the Office of International Services at GSU that organizes all the study abroad at the university. And they have awards available between $250 and $750. To be eligible, you would fill this out. It's an application, 2 letters of reference, and this is actual references, okay, as opposed to 2 references with contact info. These are actual letters that need to be submitted, and an essay with a follow-on project. And all the details are on these 2 links. There is also, so I am putting, I didn't have a chance to put it on the slide. There was an email that was sent out, I believe, last week. GSU Foundation has a number of different scholarships that you can apply as a GSU student. And I put the link in the chat. Some are specific for disciplines, other are looking for a particular demographic or background or experience, but I suggest you all to go through the list and see if you fulfill the requirements and be able to apply to these scholarships, okay? And those are coming up in terms of the deadline. They're all around sometime in November. Apply between now and November 30th. So I encourage you to look, line by line, go through each scholarship and see if you're eligible. And there's some that some are disciplinary, as I said, but I believe you can find, I believe there might be something for everyone who might apply. And the applications for both the Global Studies and the Study Abroad Scholarship are due on November 11th. Okay, so you have about 3 weeks, más o menos, to complete them. So, yeah.
And if you are asking a faculty member and somebody else, or 2 faculty members for the letters of reference, you can use the same in most cases, you can use the same references for both. Neither Yelena nor I can be references for the Global Studies Scholarship because we're making decisions about that. So if you're using one of us for the study abroad, then you'd have to find someone else. But if you're not asking either one of us, you can use the same references for both. And somebody asked if they would know on the chat, just to point out for everybody, if you would know before the first payment is due, whether you got a scholarship or not. And yes, you will. You will definitely know that.
Yes, and here we have a few more details about the payment deadlines. Okay, so November 11 for the scholarship through Global Studies and the Study Abroad Scholarship. The ones on GSU Foundations, they have their specific day per scholarship, but I believe most of them are due by November 30. So make sure you look at the details for those. You must access and submit the GSU Study Abroad application packet. Okay, so it's a packet. Again, it will all be in the links that have been sent out and that will be sent out after this meeting. You must be in good academic and community standing and have completed at least one semester at GSU, 2 if you are a freshman. Okay, so there are some limitations of how many credits you must have completed at GSU for you to study abroad. And this is institution-wide, right? November 21st, we must have the confirmation of participation with $1,000 due. By then you would know if you received a scholarship, right? So if you did receive a scholarship, 500 of that can go towards this confirmation of participation. So if you're receiving a scholarship, we can apply it towards the other 500 of this payment. December 5th, next set of $1,000 is due. Remaining scholarship funds can be applied to this payment. And on January 15th, the remaining balance will be due. I don't know if there's something else at the bottom. I can't read it. Oh,
No,
yeah,
that's all. But I
balance.
I was trying to unmute. I wanted to answer a question in the chat instead of typing it. I'm just going to answer it for everybody. So question is about to audit the class. What does that mean? And do they still have to register in spring if you audit? So if you're auditing, you do still need to be registered. You can be a non-degree seeking student. To audit it means that the fee is not as high for I think it's like $80 or something like that, right? Or $100 to audit a course. You won't get a grade for the class, but you are still responsible for the material. So you're still responsible for going to the class and participating and all of that. But you won't have a grade on your transcript necessarily. And then we have another question. If I had recommendation letters from last year when the study abroad was canceled, do I need new letters?
Oh, good question.
That is a good question.
Do we have an answer yet?
I don't have an answer from the office. So for the study abroad application, the study abroad scholarship, I'm not sure. And that would be a question to ask the Office of International Services, which we can do and get back to you. And for our application, we were really only asking for references.
Mm-hmm.
So names of people who would be willing to give a reference on your behalf. And I think as far as I'm concerned, you could use the same people. But.
Yeah, that would be a question to ask OIS, and ois@govst.edu is their email. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if you were planning to go to the trip last year when we were going to the Dominican Republic, I think, Teresa, this is what you're referring to, that if you had gotten last year's scholarship, that you would be eligible for this year. Is that right? Is that the question you're asking?
Yes, and will I be able to apply for this year's scholarships or no?
Yes.
Okay.
So it would, yeah. So if you got it, you would still be able to apply for this year's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
By references, okay, I received another question directly. Just to clarify, by reference, do you need them to write a letter of recommendation or just their information? Good. So by references, can you go back, Novia, to the requirements? So when it says letter of recommendation, which would be the Office of International Studies, Office of International Services, there you actually need the 2 letters. For the global studies scholarship, we would need the names, contact information, and basically who they are. Are they a faculty member? Are they, you know, what their who they are, what the position is. So for one scholarship, just the contact information. And for the study abroad scholarship, you would need the actual letters. So make sure that you know, plan in advance. So if you already know you're going to ask two people, you know, reach out to them right now. This would be a good time to do so. All right. Do you want to do this, Novi? Or?
Sure, yeah. So for the so one of the things you'll need to go on this trip is a passport. And it needs to have at least 6 months. It needs to be valid for at least 6 months beyond the date of the trip. So March. So you want a passport that's good until at least September of next year. So if you need to renew your passport, or if you don't have a passport, you'll want to do that like immediately. They take some time. You can see here, it can take up to 18 weeks. And Laura, are you finding that that's still the case, that they're taking that long to process passports?
It really depends where you're writing from.
Okay.
I got mine. I had to renew mine. I expedited it and I got it. It still took them up to, I think it was 2 months for me to get it back.
Okay.
So I would err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
If you have applied for a passport and you don't have it, you can't go into a passport office as an emergency to get your passport until I think it's within 2 weeks of your travel date.
Yeah.
So you're just on pins and needles till you can get to that point and go in if you don't have it.
Yep.
Yeah. So this, oh, sorry. So I was going to ask, at this point, it would have to be expedited, correct? Yeah.
Just to be safe.
Yeah. So if you don't have a passport and you're getting one now, you'll need a passport application, which you can get at a local post office, passport photos, which you can usually get at like a Walgreens or something like that. There are particular, if you've never had a passport, there are particular like size, and you can't just take, background, and you can't just take any photo. So
don't wear a t-shirt with some letters on it, because I had to go back and change, and, and then my daughter wore something white. She had to go back and so make sure you follow all the guidelines.
Yeah. And you'll need to bring proof of US citizenship and an ID, and then you'll want to expedite it, which is that fee plus the $60, so that you'll have it in time. So it says after October 15th, today's the 19th. So you'll need to expedite it. And then these are just some links for following up about information in terms of COVID-19 and in Costa Rica, and then just general COVID-19 data. All right. What questions do you all have? Thank you for asking your questions as we've been rolling along here. What other questions do you have? You can feel free to put them in the chat or unmute, whatever is most comfortable for you.
So I have a question. For the rooms, is it gonna be co-ed or?
No.
It's gonna be just like women with women and.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would not be co-ed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and the rooms, so there are shared rooms. If you do want your own, the privacy of your own room, there's a fee to pay. We don't have the exact number, but we could follow up with you on that if you do want to have your own individual room. But yeah, the way it's set up, it's 2 people per room.
Yelena, we have a question in the chat. If we get both scholarships, what is the remaining price?
Good question. I have my calculator right here. So it's 49, how much was it? 49.30? 49.30 minus 1,000 minus, let's say you get the full 750 from the office, the study abroad office, it would be 31.80. So $3,180. And I really encourage you to look into the GSU Foundation scholarships. It's a long list. Some of them might not apply to you at all, and others might. So definitely apply to that if you fulfill the requirements. The other thing is reach out to organizations that you're part of and ask if they know of funds or scholarships, because there's money lying around, and a lot of times I myself, I don't know everything that's out there unless you go in and ask. So Novia, you had mentioned the Rotary Club last time. If you're part of a church, if you're part of a community center organization, or maybe you work somewhere and they offer funds for students for these type of experiences. So ask around and try to get all the information you can, because there are pockets of money here and there. Is there another question? If you join late, how? Okay, good question. We will send out a link with this recording. So this info session is being recorded right now. We will send it to you.
Along with links to the application packet and the Global Study Scholarship and everything.
Yes.
There's a question just to me. For the application, do we need to send it via email or drop it off at the office? And I believe the application packet for study abroad, the one that goes to the Office of International Services, OIS, can be emailed.
Mm-hmm. And ours is a Google Doc.
Yeah.
The application is a Google Doc that you fill out. It's a form. And then we will be reaching out to schedule interviews and conversations. So it's virtual on our end.
Our end is the Global Study Scholarship. It's a little,
Yes.
I know it's a little confusing because we have study abroad and then global studies, but they go together.
There's another question by Carmen. What time of day would we depart Chicago and arrive back? I believe we're, Laura, is it in the mid-morning, more or less?
I'm looking that up. 1 second.
Okay, we will get back to you on that. The other part is, do we have to interview to be eligible for the trip? So that's a good question. What we will do as part of, again, the Global Studies Scholarship is we will set up a meeting. It's not a formal interview, so I don't want you to worry. You're not getting hired for something, but it's kind of a conversation to get to know you, to ask you about maybe some questions we have from your application, your motivation, what your goals are for the study abroad trip. So we will schedule about a 20-minute conversation. We call it an interview because technically it's an interview, but it will be more of a conversation where we get to know you. And that's part of the application process for getting the scholarship.
It's also another opportunity for you to ask questions and to get to know us as well, right? To ask us questions about why we're doing this and things like that.
How long is the flight? We will get back to you on that. I am not sure. I believe
My computer's having the same problem. I'm almost there.
Don't worry. Novia, do you know, like 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, it's not a very long flight.
No.
I've been to Costa Rica once, but we didn't have a nonstop flight, and I believe our flight will be a nonstop flight.
Ours is, and the one that we have is leaving at 8:20 in the morning and arriving at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's fairly quick flight.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then we have you getting back early evening on the 18th around 7 p.m.
Yes. Thank you, Laura. There's another question about the letters of recommendation. Do they need to be sent directly to the scholarship, or can we send them? So they will be sent directly to the Office of International Studies, okay? And all the details and instructions are on the application packet. So make sure you read all the guidelines and what you have to do. But it will be sent from the person who's writing the letter to the OIS office. Mm-hmm. That is my understanding, right?
And it's emailed. Yeah, I wrote a couple of those in the past.
Yeah,
they're emailed.
They're emailed.
How many people have to go so it doesn't get canceled?
Good question.
We need 8 to 10. We're hoping to have 10. That was about the number we had that we're planning to go to the Dominican Republic last year before it got canceled. And so we don't anticipate this unless something changes drastically in the world. We don't anticipate that being an issue this time around. And so, 10 people. And then would the interview be in person, or is there an option to do virtually? We did our interviews virtually last year.
Yes.
And we're happy to, I think I can speak for both of us to say we're happy to offer that again.
To continue doing so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we need shots?
Shots. I believe, I mean, this is more of a travel issue and the requirements of Costa Rica. I believe they require shots. This was the case for the Dominican Republic, where shots were, COVID, I think you're referring to COVID shots. There was a requirement to be vaccinated. I don't know if that's, I'm guessing that's still the case. I think Laura, you might have more information on that.
I think that they are required for their, as far as other shots, inoculations, I don't think you need anything, not any special vaccines or anything, but COVID, I believe they are requiring those. And that was how the countries got out of doing all the quarantine and that kind of thing, by requiring the vaccine before entry. You're not really required to show it when you get on a flight any longer. And you may not have to show it to anyone. It's just best to have it with you, or a copy of the card with you when you travel.
In case you're asked, yeah.
And we'll be in the city. I mean, the vast majority of the time we're going to be in San Jose. And so in case the question is thinking of like, we'll be in rural areas where you might need other immunizations, or think we will not be, traipsing around farmland or anything like that. So.
Yeah, and that's well, one of the reasons we had to cancel last year was because of COVID, like they were outside of our control. But one of the reasons we decided on the destination of Costa Rica, it has a very robust healthcare system. And so there, I mean, wherever we go, we'll make sure that your health and safety is first, it's priority. But you will be in contact, you'll have a place to go in case you get sick. And Laura, you probably have, I remember you mentioned last time, you can be in conversations with someone from the organization, or any medical questions, issues that you might have, either physical or mental health. There's support for you during this trip.
Right. We participate with George Washington Hospital in DC. So we do have doctors on call 24/7. So if you're not feeling well and you're not sure if you should take a COVID test, or you're not sure you should go to the hospital or see a doctor there, you can always talk to them first. And then the doctors can help you make that decision. We also list on the app that we give you that you'll have access to, and also faculty and people traveling with your program, the closest hospital to where you're staying. So we put all of that information at your fingertips in the app.
There was also one thing, Novi, that you had mentioned that I'll bring up again. So we have 3 lectures that are, do you want to speak about that, Novia?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we have 3 lectures, right? And the overall topic of this class is looking at Afro-Latino cultures in Costa Rica. But depending on what your backgrounds are, if you're enrolled in this trip and you registered for it, maybe you're a student of journalism or public health, right? Depending on the disciplinary interests of our students, we could shape those and tailor them. And these are conversations we'll be having more next semester, but we could shape them towards what the interests of the class is too, right? So maybe more hands-on organization, or community organizing, or journalism, right? We have some contacts with regards to journalism. We are happy to, these are general topics and titles, but they will be tailored specifically for our class next semester.
This is one of the reasons why we do the interviews or conversations for the Global Studies Scholarship, so we can get to know a little more about what you're interested in. And then World Strides has put together a great itinerary based on the experience that they have and the context that they have on the ground, but we also have the opportunity to work with them to tailor that a little bit to our class and then our students' interests. So that's another reason why we want to be able to chat with you. And I can't emphasize enough to definitely apply for both of the scholarships that we've talked about today, and the ones that are available through the GSU Foundation. The funding that we have for the Global Studies Scholarship is through the Department of Education, and we very much want you to have that funding, right? We want to give that money to you. So
it needs to be used.
It needs to be used.
It's been set aside for students.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's restricted on how much it is, but we want to use that money and have students use it for the study abroad trip. Are there any other questions or comments, concerns? If anything else comes up, feel free to email Novia or myself. And how are we going to get a list of people who registered for this. Let's see. Actually, I could take a screenshot of participants. And so let's do one thing. If your name is not what shows up, can you type your full name in the chat? That way we know, we make sure we include you in the email that we're going to send out with a link to the application packets and a link to the recording. So just go ahead and type your full name as you show up at GSU email. Let's do that. That'll make it easier. Awesome. And if you connected by phone, if you could type your name also. It's nice to see new names and familiar ones. That's exciting. Yeah. So yeah, so we're very excited to be able to offer this. Fortunately, restrictions to travel because of COVID have gone down. Unfortunately, the price of fuel has gone up, which is why our original price of this study abroad has also gone up, right? But we're hoping that with the scholarships, with GSU Foundation, we can make this happen and have it a great experience for everyone who registers for the class.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to the trip. When we'll be sending you a link to this recording along with the link to the application packet and the scholarship, Global Studies Scholarship application. And you may be getting it from either me or Yelena, or it may end up coming from Darcy Campos, who is the sort of interim director of study abroad right now. So I know you all get lots of emails, so look for those names in your
Darcy
emails.
Campos, OIS, or from either one of us.
Yeah.
After we apply, how long would it take to know if we are accepted? Good question. So about, let's see, after the application,
Within a week, right?
Within a week, yeah.
Yeah, so the applications are due on the 11th and the first payment is due on the 21st. So you'll know before that first payment.
Yeah.
Before Thanksgiving.
Yes. Awesome. I'm taking a screenshot of all the names so we have it.
I can save the chat.
Oh, that's easier. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, Laura, for being here with us.
Happy to be here. Wishing you it'll be a great trip.
We're looking forward to it. So keep in touch and let us know if you have any questions between now and the application due date. We'll be reminding you of that as well.
Yeah.
Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you. Have a good week.